A lot of people are potentially stroke victims. And the only way you can be aware of this is to be aware of an erratic pulse, which apparently causes atrial fibrillation, which causes the stroke. But so people can be aware of this if they go to their doctor and have their pulse taken, and they find out it's erratic. They can then do something to avoid a potential stroke. And a lot of people apparently are not aware that they have this condition, and they're susceptible to stroke at any time. And it could save a lot of lives if people are more aware, to get their pulse taken at their doctors and find out if they're okay or not.
We're absolutely delighted that we have Roger living in our area and that he's put his weight behind this programme. Because if the work that he's produced, showing the different illustrations of the heart rhythm, helps people diagnose their own atrial fibrillation, and allows them to present to their GPs to have the condition confirmed, then it will make a huge difference to the number of strokes and heart attacks that we can prevent. Well, the simplest thing to educate him with was to show him a normal rhythm, because that is a standard, regular drum beat. So we just created some bleeps on a computer program, matched it to a normal ECG, and played it as a sound file. And that was the easiest starting point, which he was totally synchronized with, because this, or a rhythm like it, is what he does all day. Hospital doctors are very used to looking at an ECG that makes a bleep as each heartbeat happens. So to us, and to our ear, that sound on a regular basis equals a normal, regular ECG. The next challenge was to try and portray a very frequent abnormality called ventricular and atrial ectopics. It's nearly always benign, meaning that it doesn't actually, it's not linked to heart disease. It's very common, but it does create an erratic pulse. So it's often a cause of a false alarm, and that's what we came up with in this tracing. So this is a regular pulse with an irregular point in it. So this is nearly always benign, and this is no cause for concern, providing there are no symptoms and no signs of abnormalities such as high blood pressure. In this last example, we see atrial fibrillation on the electrocardiogram. This single channel recorder is showing a faster heart rate than normal, with the interval between each beat being totally erratic and random in duration. Some beats are followed by very quick second beats, others by pauses. And the sensation this would produce at the pulse would be of a totally erratic, thready pulse. It's faster than normal and it's totally chaotic. This is a piece of music that we use to illustrate the kind of problem. Every single beat is different. The interval between it and its successor is different. It's chaos. This is atrial fibrillation. Phase 3 was the biggest challenge. How do you take a brilliant musician and tell him to play out of tune, totally out of sync, in a chaotic way? It's the opposite to what he normally does.
because it's everything that you've learned is keeping in rhythm, it's obviously goes completely against the grain to try and drum randomly, and so it's quite tricky actually. The bass drum was basically the main heartbeat. Some of the other stuff on the snare was the sort of atrial, a lesser heartbeat I suppose, and that was what I was trying to emulate, yeah. The drummer in the old-fashioned bands, which don't play to clicks, is the engine room of the band, and should the drummer sort of go wrong in his rhythm and his leading of the band, there will be chaos. It's very analogous to the heart and the body and our health, and should the rhythm go wrong and there's something wrong with the heart, it's absolutely vital that we sort of recognise this, and it's obviously going to lead to big problems.